Hello everyone, Sire here. Thank you so much for joining me for a Craft Roulette process video. This is for episode 200, which was not the most recent, but the one when Gina K was on. And I just am a little behind on posting it, but here we go. So the parameters for this episode was kids card, the colors burr, it had to include a comic or cartoon, and button or buttons. So there's my button. This button is from Buttons Galore and More from that cards or the subscription that I had purchased, and inspired me to create this cute little pig. Now, as I was coloring it, which is really fast forwarded, I pull out my darkest red, which is almost I believe it's a black red, and then it accidentally leaked on me. And it's going to be right about now. And so when this happened, I was kind of stumped, and I made it worse by spreading it. I thought that the napkin would have absorbed it all, but when I don't know why I slid it. I think I kind of gave up, but I looked at it, I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep going forward. I'm not going to recreate this. Let's see what I can do with this. And so I just kept coloring it with the intention of keeping this pig in my card for Craft Roulette episode 200. And so there's a little nose, and I'll fussy cut this guy out once it's all done. And I will keep that black smudge for now because I'm kind of thinking, is it a mouth? Can I get away with it looking like a gaping mouth? I'm not sure. So anyways, I'm not going to let it ruin my day. So there's my pig, and my button, I just add one of those little glue dots. These things are amazing, and that's not coming off. So there's my pig. The next part is I'm going to get the stencil, and this is an old stencil I got from Scrapping for Less when they used to exist and have a card kit. And I found some of this stuff. I can't remember what it's called, just texture paste. And it's the only one that didn't dry out, so I decided that I would use it up and just create this nice star and circle background. One thing you could have done, or I could have done, sorry, is I could have added some ink colors to this. I do have liquid inks like watercolors, for example, or other mediums to make this so that it actually has color. But I thought the white would be fine on this beautiful turquoise or teal pattern paper. Next, I'm taking these Trinity stamp balloons. Fun fact, I won these on one of my Craft Roulette winnings. So I submitted a card with Craft Roulette a while back, and I won when Trinity Stamps, this is a long time ago, when Trinity Stamps was one of the super sponsors, and this is one of the items that I purchased. So I thought I'd bring them back out for episode 200 to create some balloons on some silver and blue. Now, I haven't played with this thing for a long time, so as you can see, I'm a little rusty. So I'll take the one balloon, which is on the left-hand side there, and it's kind of like a bluish color, a blue hologram. And now I'm going to do two more in the silver, and we'll just try this one more time, and I'm a little bit happier with this outcome. Still not perfect, but it works for what I'm going to be doing. By this time, it's actually Thursday night, and I have about 2 hours, roughly, to get my card created, posted, before the deadline. Thankfully, I am part of the Patreon, so I do have until Thursday to get that done. So I spent some time trying to fiddle around what I want to do, and so I have my balloons positioned, I have my pig positioned, still unhappy with that circle, which looks like a big gaping mouth. But I'm going to keep going forward. And so I pulled out these Tim Holtz die pieces that are just abstract shapes. I love this die set. Once again, when I was on Craft Roulette live, this is the die set I used, and I made some robots. So I'm tying in all these elements for the 200th episode. I thought that'd be kind of fun. And I'm just picking random shapes. For this particular one that kind of looks like feathers or the pig is stampeding or something, that's actually one die. And what I did was I cut it twice, but I flipped the one upside down and then ran it through my die cutting machine, just the plates, not the die, so that I can flatten it out so it didn't look like it was upside down, because when you cut with a die, it does leave that embossing indenting that makes it look like it was cut. And if you flip it upside down, you can definitely see that it was upside down because it's curved the wrong direction. So if you run it through your die cutting machine with just the plates, it will flatten it. At least with my setup, it does. I also took a piece of pattern paper that kind of matched the teal cardstock, but not taking away from the pig and the balloons, just adding a little bit of texture, because I didn't want it to be just one big empty background with stars and circles. And I think this worked really well. But I still want to add some more. So I'm playing with my abstract shapes, and I'm just grabbing some random scraps of paper that are burr colors, and I'm just going to cut out some shapes, and I'm just going to put them around and see if I can create some backgrounds, almost like bushes maybe in the distance, or just a little bit of a landscape, just to kind of ground the pig so it's not just floating there, and it's just creating some layering. If you find that you are working with a card and it's just not feeling finished, it just seems like something's missing, try layering. Try adding some elements. They don't need to make sense. They could just be abstract. They could be threads. They could be pieces of pattern paper. Just try different layers and see if you can polish it up and bring it out of this something's missing to, this is it. And I'm really liking how this is turning out. It's just kind of almost looks like Mario World background. Not the balloons, but the little rounded shrubs and everything. I thought that was kind of fun. And of course, the white pieces in the front really, once again, they don't mean anything. It's just adding some texture. Right now, they kind of look like moose horns. So that's, as you play around with these abstract shapes, you can really start having fun and creating interesting pieces. But I'm just kind of playing around. I just like how it looked. It could be that it's the pig's running towards you, or it's just completely, purely abstract. So this black spot has been really bothering me just because I didn't know what to do. And so I decided, you know what, let's just draw a mouth. So I made this big grin that will hopefully cover that big black spot. And I made it wonky because if you look at the black stain, it is kind of up to its nose, so it's going to be crooked. So I just took a pencil, made a really silly face, and then used my Copic fine line markers to outline it. But then I just want to use the thicker one right now because my pig was outlined in the thicker one. So I want to make sure that it at least looked similar. And I think this is going to cover it quite nicely. I will obviously give it a little test. I probably won't give it a little test, but I should have given it a little test to make sure that before I cut it, I'm actually getting the right size. But you know me, I like to just cut and think afterwards. Okay, and so once this is done, I'm going to give it a try, but I will add some markers because the white is too much. I've only replaced the black smudge with just this big white smile, and so it just didn't match that well. But you can see how it's going to work. That is one happy pig. Okay, so now that I've thought about it, I looked at it, I'm like, okay, let's move forward, but I'm going to grab my pink markers out again. And so far my Olo pink ones have never leaked, just that it's usually the red. The red seemed to be problematic, and a couple of the yellow-orange ones. So I did contact Olo, and they told me that when you constantly pull off the cap and pull it back on, it creates a vacuum. So if you do what I did there, where I just leave the marker unhinged or uncapped, that shouldn't cause the problem, and they won't dry. So you don't need to worry about it. So now that I'm happy with that, I'm just going to cut the rest of this down so it's turned properly, and then add my smile to the pig. And since it has a nice pink outline, it kind of matches enough that you won't see it. In fact, if you were to look at the picture from a distance, you can't even tell that it's actually two different pieces, which I thought was kind of fun. But up close, you definitely can. Okay, so I think now what I'm going to be doing is start putting this card together. So I have all the pieces, I've done all the planning, I've done all the playing around, and now it's time to build it. I should have used double-sided tape because that will give me more adhesion to this textured background, but I don't, and I just use my glue. And so when I realized what I was thinking after I had put it down, I believe I put a acrylic block on it just so that it stays there and doesn't move like a good piece of paper. And I just leave it there for a little bit. And I tested it. It seems to stick. Is it the best? Probably not. I probably still should have just picked it up and put some double-sided tape on it, but I'm just moving forward. Like I said, I actually am running out of time, so I need to get this up before the deadline. And so there wasn't much thinking of making sure I do it correctly. You know what? Craft Roulette, I can always make a second one with more time if I really wanted to, but I don't know. Craft Roulette just makes me so happy. I really get to play around and try different things I just normally wouldn't do. And because of that, it doesn't really matter how it looks in the end, because the whole point is just to have fun and just create and be free without judging yourself all the time. Okay, so while I put this together, I'll continue talking about Craft Roulette, which is a game show that happens almost every Friday. And it is hosted by Mary, who will spin the wheel with a guest, sorry. And they will pick 4 categories. One is project, one is color, one is element, and one is random. They do not know what they're going to get until the night of, and then they create a card, and everyone gets to have fun watching, laughing along, and having a great time, and then create their cards before, if you're not a Patreon, Sunday, I believe, night, and then if you're Patreon, Thursday. There are great prizes that can be won if you submit a card, and you just need to make sure that it is actually a handcrafted card that you just created, and it cannot be digital. Although you can use digital images if you print them off and glue them down to your project. It is a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. I'll put the information in the description box below. And here we go. So now I'm just going to add my card to my base, add my little smiley face, because why not? And this will pretty much conclude my card. I will put a sentiment in the inside because I ran out of space on the outside, and it will just say happy birthday. So this is my kid's card because it's pretty kiddish with the big balloons and a cartoon animal. The colors are burst, so I'm thinking blues and greens with rosy cheeks, my pinks. The cartoon pig, the cartoon, and that is my pig. And then, of course, the button nose. So I'm pretty happy with this. And I got to use my Button Galore More subscription. I got to use one of the buttons that I got. If you don't know which I'm talking about, I'll see if I can link to that video so you can see my unboxing of the Buttons Galore and more. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. I do hope you partake in this. It is now episode 201, which was with Biddy Penny. It's a fantastic episode. Watch the replay. It's quite good. And I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.